Hello and welcome to another episode of Perspectives Podcast. Today I'll be joined with my co-host as usual. I'm Miguel Peggi. We'll be talking about two things actually today. Something new. We'll be talking about the definition of freedom and the definition of our fears. To start it out, Miguel, what is your definition of freedom?
Good one. Definition of freedom. I don't. I think it's actually we all understand what freedom is, but it's kind of difficult to explain it. So I think by
Right.
definition, it's like freedom is like the ability to uh do what one wants without hindrance or restraint, right? Um,
Right.
that is like a rough definition, but I guess there's different interpretations. Um,
Hmm.
I know like I have the freedom to. Okay, this might be weird, but I have the freedom to like go out and kill someone, right? But I get
Right.
punished, um, and then I won't be free
Exactly.
anymore because my rights are taken
Hmm.
away. But I had the freedom. So
Hmm.
we have this. We live in like fundamentally we have the freedom to literally do whatever we want, within like what is within our abilities. So obviously I can't go fly a private jet, right? Because I can't afford a private jet, you know. So I
Right.
have the
Hmm.
freedom to do so, but I don't have the resources to do it. So then that might
Hmm.
be contradictory. So I don't necessarily have that freedom. Um, there's also not so concrete freedoms where it's like abstract freedoms. Um,
Hmm. Explain a little bit.
so as okay, so I'm trying to think of something that wouldn't be that much of a touchy talk like subject right away. I don't want to start it off like where we're on like a bed of nails. So as kids, we're kind of free to do whatever we want, but we're not allowed to do the quote unquote adult stuff.
Hmm.
I think that's like one of the easier examples or situations I would use. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think freedom. Everyone's interpretation of freedom is going to be different. Um, you know, someone who's in prison has a different idea of freedom than someone who's fighting for their rights. I think that's
Hmm.
their interpretations are could be similar. They probably are fundamentally similar, but their interpretations of the idea of freedom is going to be different. The freedom for the prisoner is a literal place outside of the bars, and then
Hmm.
freedom for people fighting for their rights or advocating for a movement would be it's not like they're fighting to not be restrained inside bars, but they're rather fighting
Hmm.
for uh, like human rights and what they
Hmm.
stand for. So um, right now my definitions of freedom are kind of like it definitely revolves around what happens in my life. I have the freedom to pursue basically anything I want to in terms of like passion, occupation, um, yeah. So
Hmm.
that's my current understanding of freedom. I'm interested to hear your interpretation.
Okay, so for me, my definition will be I feel like freedom is just like like being submissive is for me freedom, and what I mean by that is like submitting to like a higher power, the universe, and I say that because you can you can be walking down the street and then you get stopped by someone and they jump you and take your money and take your phone, your everything,
Mm-hmm.
and like you're in this mental state of you're panicking, you're worrying, it's all this anxiety. But when you're like, okay, this is just part of, I'm gonna submit to this moment. It's just part of life, ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
What can I learn from this? I'm gonna let this higher power, like, okay, guide me. It's like okay, and then like at that point, you're like, that moment anymore is like not really. It doesn't really like hold you back from like living your life. You can just like let the universe do its thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you're just like you're an observer.
Right.
Um, and I feel like you mentioned prison,
Okay.
right? And I feel like for them, well, I wouldn't know 100%, but I feel like this might be for some of them like books, like reading and like absorbing themselves in like different reality, and like there's a common saying like you can trap our bodies but you can't trap our mind,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's a mental thing, and you're just letting these things happen and just being an observer.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like listen, like I said last night, it's like listening to music. You're just like watching the beats and the melodies come in like this, you know, and it's like there's chaos in it, but there's also like beauty. Like you may see a car accident, but at the same time there's a bird chirping on the side, like or a woman giving birth, and it's like being able to observe this and like submitting to like everything around you. It's like it's kind of nice. You're in this stream of like you're in this flow of like just whatever comes just comes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said, I remember you didn't want to get onto touchy topics, and that interests me because it's like we all like we're worried about saying the wrong
Right.
thing,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
For
like
sure.
it kind of like locks us in, like we can't like express
Mm-hmm.
exactly what we want to
Yeah.
say.
I'm not free to share the ideas I want to. Like, I have to censor
Mm,
myself accordingly based off of how I think others would react to what I say. So in that sense,
right.
I'm not free. It's also another
Mm,
interpretation of freedom.
mm. If you don't mind, do you mind sharing those topics?
Well, I was originally thinking about like the African American history, um, like
Okay.
slavery that happened within the United States. But then it
Mm,
comes to me that like slaves still exist, right now.
right.
Like as of right now, slaves still exist. So I don't think it was.
Mm,
So I was trying to think of like something more generalized. But
mm,
I think so. Here's the thing. Here's what I was originally thinking to reference some ideas on freedom. Um, quite literally, a couple hundred years ago, or maybe even less than that. African Americans literally weren't free. They were slaves and they were imprisoned. They were stripped of a majority of their rights. They weren't treated as like people. Um, but although slaves don't exist in the United States anymore, or probably not. Who knows what's going on in some underground shit? Um,
mm,
there's still certain freedoms that aren't literal. So you had mentioned some good examples of or like some references to pop culture songs that help depict
mm,
African Americans and their adversities between the hierarchy. So, good
mm,
example is police brutality.
right.
They're literally African Americans are free. There's like slaves don't exist, but they're not free from the oppression. Like
Mm,
the oppression remains. Um, and so it's also like uh, they're not free in the sense that these things are still being tied. Not because they were literally. Uh, how can I say this? Although they themselves weren't slaves, the history is tied to them.
right.
Um, and we can and it's reflected within how like there's some imbalances between races within every it's not exclusive to United States, but um
Mm,
because we live in the United States, that's what we need to focus on, you know.
mm,
Um but that's just kind of how it is.
right.
I think a lot of times like the severity of importance of freedom differs. So we as Montgomery County residents don't necessarily need to focus on freedom as much. Um,
Why do you say that?
I mean, we live in a pretty fortunate area. So compare that to the other parts of the world, right?
Yeah,
You have
that's
the
true.
freedom to go wherever you want, basically anytime. You have a car.
Mm,
Uh, you know, you have you know you have enough money to basically do what you want in a given day. Um, if you want to go do something, you can go do it. If you want to eat something, you can go do it. You want to sleep all day, you probably can get away with it. There's not any real repercussions, you
mm,
know. However, you go to someplace that isn't as fortunate, for instance, the Philippines, where people live in poverty, although they have less available opportunities to them, it's not like they see that they don't have. Uh, it's not like they see they have less freedoms than us. In fact, they don't even acknowledge it
Mm.
because that's become their standard. And I think
Mm.
that's it
Have you?
was like also tied with our discussion we had yesterday, where like people are just like depressed all the time. You know, like
Right.
you're experiencing. Remember that the chess club you were saying? Like that's what people do for. If you're doing a chess club,
Yeah.
like that's kind of what you do. Um, if you live in a
Mm.
third country, and the things that you experience are your day to day life, it's not like you feel bad for yourself. Rather, it's like that's their standard. You know, and that's why
Mm.
everyone's so fucking depressed in first world countries because their expectations kept our standard of living is so high compared to the rest of the world that like we constantly compare ourselves, our freedoms included. So, I know that the extreme left, that there's some really good arguments. Now we're getting to politics. The extreme left, try and leverages everything against like their arguments are just using leverage, uh, about how they are discriminated against on like everything. And I think the extreme right kind of does the same thing. But a good example is like gender, right? Here's another touchy topic that somehow I find myself talking into. But it's
Mm.
like they just leverage everything. So somehow you are oppressed, and then when they get what they want with advocating for something, they find another thing to say. And that's just extremes on both sides. I'm not just saying singling out the extremes, the extreme lefts or like liberals, but both sides of the extremes do that. So
Right. Have you ever been to the Philippines?
no, and I kind of don't want to go
No.
there. Kind of don't want to go.
How
I mean,
come?
every time I hear things about the Philippines, it's always like, yeah, this place is hella corrupt. This place is kind of bad, and
Mm.
I don't know. It might just be me being like really boring,
Mm.
like me as an individual. But I'm not super interested. I would like to go sometime, but there's not too much incentives for me to go right now. One, because like
Well,
it's not cheap to like travel places.
yeah, that's true.
Two, like if I want to travel places, it's probably someplace I want to go with some friends or like have a plan instead of just going to a country. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, you know.
You s- you still have a lot of family back there.
So I do have a lot of family back there, I think. But the
Mm.
issue is I haven't really had the opportunities to connect with them. Um,
Mm.
and it's almost like a cycle where it's like, well, I don't really know them, so I don't really know my family that well, so it doesn't make me want to
Mm.
go, and because I don't want to go, I never meet my family. You know, so it's like this cycle that
Mm.
just will keep going on until I break it.
Right. Mm. I asked him 'cause, about 3 years ago I went to Gambia
Mm-hmm.
for the first
How was
time,
it?
and it was nice.
Mm-hmm.
I got to see like different sides of the world, like different sides of how people lived, and I remember because my uncle and aunt, they're like for living in Gambia, they're pretty well off. They have a nice house, a nice
Mm-hmm.
home. Um, and I remember one time I was walking out like down the street, and the moment I got out like their house, I looked to the left and I see a family like living
Mm-hmm.
under this broken down brick construction.
Mm-hmm.
I see I see another family living like there are these corner stores
Mm-hmm.
there, like and like I remember I was buying some like candy from there or like some food from there, and I look around the corner and I see hammocks and like beds,
Mm-hmm.
and like they're basically living where they work,
Right.
and like that's like so natural to them,
Mm-hmm.
and like if and like I guess like reflecting on it now, it's like I was thinking like how can like someone live like this? It's like doesn't that make them uncomfortable? Like don't they want to like do more?
Uh huh.
And it's like I guess based on my definition like of freedom back then, this was 3 years ago. I thought like you live in like a nice home and like you can just go wherever
Mm-hmm.
and you're free. But these were some of the nicest people I've met. They're like very kind and like they're not real. Their worries are way more than mine, but they handle it so amazingly. Like they're free from all this anxiety. Like they're they have a strong spirit, and I feel like having a strong spirit is another definition of freedom. Being disciplined and just being like a fighter. Like you can be free. Like because imagine like you go into let's say the Amazon and you're there for a week. The person that will survive the longest is the fighter, the one that strives and it just keeps going and going and going.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why they survived is because they didn't let their situation get the best of them,
Mm-hmm.
right? They and eventually they got out, and by that they are free. And the person that isn't free, they just stay. I guess that I feel like I'm describing myself. The person that just sits there and lets all these problems just pile in their face,
Mm-hmm.
like letting it all just like go by and not actually doing anything about it. And that like like confirming to myself that I lack a lot of discipline,
Uh-huh.
and I lack a lot of like I lack a strong spirit.
Right.
Um, and I was talking to my cousin like he was like they were saying like you should have like went to Gambia for a year, and like you would have changed you like for the better
Mm-hmm.
because you just your standards are like it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like when people say like these other countries are different, they really mean it's different. Like they're not like sugarcoating it.
Right.
Um, and another thing I want to talk about, um, I definitely, I definitely probably will like receive like um, well I don't know, like people may disagree with me, but I feel like death is another type of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Like accepting that one day that
Right.
you will pass away, and then like that is just life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's just it makes things easier because you realize there's way more important things than getting the best outfit, getting a nicer car,
Mm-hmm.
or even getting a job or a family.
Right.
Um, there's a lot more things in life
Mm-hmm.
than these small little minute things.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure.
And then like yeah. Sorry, I went a
No,
little,
no, it's perfectly fine.
some tangents.
Perfect normal. Yeah. I mean, I just think we're just spoiled by the standard of living, you know.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Um that being said, right, if we were to live in Gambia for a year, then we would
Mm.
be able to adapt within that year, and we would also change.
Right.
I don't want to say the things around us corrupt us, but that's kind of what happens.
Mm.
Yeah, you know, we have this technology available to us all the time, instant gratification for everything.
Mm.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, like the people there, the people in that you met in Gambia, they're just extremely happy, extremely nice people.
Mm.
It makes a lot of sense. They're not corrupted with all the
Yeah.
bullshit that we surround ourselves with.
Exactly.
I know plenty of people that aren't as fortunate as us. Or what the thing is, like we keep inferring that they aren't as fortunate than us, but one could argue they're more fortunate than us. Not
Mm.
monetary wise, but spiritually. They're way more happier. They're way more how can I say this, like they're more in touch with themselves and the world around them.
Right.
A lot of times we're
Mm.
just like we're like clouded with all the shit that we experience, and you know, all the social media, constantly consuming more media, electronics. I always
Right.
get the new best thing, newest iPhone, newest this. Like you said, better car, nicer house. You know.
Do you feel like you're in touch with yourself?
No. Right now, no, definitely
Mm.
not. There's been times
Mm.
where I have, and I feel really clean. Like I feel sharp. It's hard to
Mm.
explain. Like
And when are those moments that you feel like that?
when I'm physically and mentally fit, like both at the same time. Like
Right.
when I
Mm.
was doing the carnivore diet, um, I remember I telling you I was like I just felt sharp. Everything just felt clean. It felt right. I felt happy. Um, and I think that was probably like when I'm in touch with myself, like
Mm.
spiritually strong, and at the same time, um,
Mm.
there's a lot of factors that uh, play a role in how like my mental state and if how I'm doing spiritually. But um, one of the main things is like just being okay with things. I remember telling you yesterday, it's like if any problem came up, I was okay with it. I would just find a way to deal with it.
Right.
I'd find solutions for it. I was okay with like difficult things happening, and I think that's like being okay. And you were mentioning just being okay with letting things happen in the world, and viewing them as they are rather than like freaking out and panicking and overthinking them. Um,
Right.
I think it definitely lines up with what you were saying earlier.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of methods to, because it's not so straightforward, right? Like training spiritually, because like what, like if you wanna get swole, lift weights. You do this specific thing.
Yeah.
If you wanna clean up your spirit, one would argue you need to get mentally straight first, but that even that
Mm.
isn't the right same thing. They could be different things. You could be mentally sharp, but not spiritually connected with yourself.
Yeah. Most definitely. And I feel like that like a lot. Just recently. I've been trying to like connect with myself spiritually on a different level, like through meditation and prayer and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But it takes time. I always say this, it takes a lot of time
Mm-hmm.
just to like feel like you're one step closer to a connection. Um, which brings me to my next point. Like when I do meditate, I like to isolate myself
Uh huh.
and like put myself in this like this this place like by myself. Um, and I feel like for some kids, especially teenagers, I feel like when they're like in their room and like in their by themselves, they feel free.
Uh huh.
They feel free from society, um, free from like problems, free from parents,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it's kind of like it's kind of weird because you think being free is you get to go out anywhere you want,
Uh huh.
but like for some it's like staying in like this certain spot. They're content with that, and they'll just that's all they really need.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of cool if you think about it. It's like how humans have um, different ways of like getting their freedom,
Mm-hmm.
and then like reminds you of Attack on Titan how Aaron will go to such extents, like for example
Mm-hmm.
ooh, oh, I almost just ruined it. Oh, I'll switch topics,
Right.
but
Yeah, that's cool.
before I ruin it for someone, but yeah, it's pretty cool to me, and like even like I did never like school, but some kids really love it, and it's like that's their element. And it's like and I really admire those people that really they don't really care about what people think. They will do like they'll just be themselves and like whatever they need to do, they'll just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like like I used to like think like theater kids were kind of weird
Right.
because like they used to like pretend to be someone else in like public and like have this weird like just like you know
Right. No, I know what you
and
mean.
like they will like they'll they'll like practice their acting like around people and like offset like off stage.
Mm.
But like now, like thing I really admire them. They're just doing what they want.
Mm.
That's their lifestyle. It's like, yo, that's kind of cool to me.
Right.
And I have a lot of respect for people like that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really. You're talking about in high school, right?
Or like
And
anyway, like
like
high
the different
school, theater school, or whatever,
the different cliques and
or
whatever.
like wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really judged like theater kids because like I was probably I
Mm.
viewed myself as like the weirder kid, honestly, because I played Dota all day.
Mm.
I sat inside and played Dota all day, so I
Mhm.
was like the weirdest kid, honestly.
Right.
Um. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I was kind of arrogant when I was younger, because
Why
I
you
used
say
to think
that?
I was a shit. Because I was pretty good at the game at the time. I still am, but like
Mm.
at the time I was very very good. Uh, you know, like the saying, it was like
Mm.
big fish in a small pond. I was a
Yeah.
big fish in a big pond or like an ocean. So
Ooh.
I was
Okay.
like
Okay.
I a lot of it went to my head as well, which is probably
Mm.
why I didn't continue success at the time. But I definitely had really good
Mm.
opportunities then. But yeah, no, I definitely viewed myself as like I was like weird. I knew I was weird because like I couldn't really have conversations with anyone else, and that's how I kind of knew that I was like a weird kid. Because I
Mm.
couldn't really relate to anyone. I had like one person I could talk to, and that was like Matt, and the only reason why was because he played Dota all day, and it like comparing myself to other people, I was like, well, I don't know, they just don't play Dota, and my like the only thing going through my head at the time was just Dota. So
Mm.
trying to tie this back to the topic, I was a slave to the game. I still
Right.
am, you know. So I lost a lot. I would like to say I had the freedom to choose what I wanted to do, but in reality, and well, not necessarily reality. It depends on how you view it. Um, my purpose at the time was just to get better at the game, to play the game, to understand the game. That's why I say some things are curses. Like passions are also like a curse, because if
Mm.
the stronger the passion is, the less freedoms you have. If you're obsessed with Kobe Bryant, right? He probably didn't have as much freedoms because he put so much time and effort into basketball, into being Kobe Bryant, the
Mm.
Mamba mentality, this killer mentality. I want to win, so I do
Mm.
everything in my ability. So he's probably not eating all the food that he wants to eat. He's not spending the time with his family, or as much time with his family as he would like, because he's obsessed. You
Mm.
kind of have to be a little bit crazy like that in order to compete against the best, because the best are also obsessed. Like these guys,
Right. Right.
these girls. That's all they do, because they're obsessed.
Mm.
Um, I think Jordan Peterson has some really good dialogue about it, but it's like essentially to compete there, you kind of have to dedicate your life to it, or you have to like dedicate all your time to it, because if not, you're gonna fall behind the guy that's like clocking in more hours than you, and more obsessed
Mm.
than you. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'll take a break for a day or two. There's like probably four other people, or it depends what you're doing, but there's probably like more people that are like, fuck the break, I'm still doing it.
Right. Right.
I don't know, maybe to reference illustrating, right? Like, there's some maniacs out there that literally wake up at like 8 a.m. or even maybe even earlier and just start drawing,
Yeah.
and then they'll draw all the way till they go to sleep, and it's not like they get burnt out, because they're so focused, and they're obsessed.
Mm.
They have the freedom to draw whatever they want, but they don't have the freedom to live a life beyond what they're currently living.
Mm. Yeah. I remember when I realized that I'm not the obsessive passion type, because I remember I try to like draw every day, like from sun up to sundown.
Mm-hmm.
And after like a couple of months, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I need to do something else. I'm not gonna try photography. I dabbled in photography. I switched it. I dabbled in painting.
Mm-hmm.
I switched it. I dabbled in poetry and rapping.
Right.
I switched it. I dabbled in trying to make beats.
Uh-huh.
And I couldn't do it. I didn't last that long.
Uh-huh.
And like realizing that it was a gift and a curse, because I realized, okay, if I'm not the next Kobe Bryant of illustration,
Uh-huh.
then that's okay.
Yeah.
I'll just you know
Yeah, yeah.
who says that like working just as hard as Kobe Bryant is the best way to live?
Right.
Like that's the only way to be amazing at what you
Yeah.
do. You know, someone else can follow that lifestyle and like just be just as bad as they were 5 years ago. I truly believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Someone can live their own way of life for a year and surpass the person that's been doing it for 10 years. I honestly believe that,
Yeah, it is possible.
because it's the quality and in the balance how they live their life. They practice in moderation instead of an extreme way.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like moderation is another type of freedom, is because let's say I draw for an hour. I spend time with my parents for another hour. I spend time watching entertainment.
Uh-huh.
I spend time like reflecting on myself and my past. Or I go outside for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, you have the freedom to live the way
yeah,
you have the freedom to live a good life. But
exactly. And by me living, go ahead.
but then again, it's like the definition of good depends on varies, right? I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah. That's
I
true.
think
That's
it's a
true.
consensus that having a balanced life is better than an obsessed one. Being able
Yeah.
to experience a lot of things about life rather than just solely focusing on one and achieving a lot in one. Um,
Mm.
there's really good debates about it. It's like one of the biggest debates about life is would you rather, or one of the biggest questions in one's approach to life is would you rather be extremely excellent, you know, uh, elite, super like high status in one aspect of life, and then be mediocre in the others, or would you just be average in everything else? And I think that's a really big
Mm.
debate amongst a lot of people, because although that's not the
Mm.
only two formulas of life, those are pretty common formulas of life. You either
Right.
spend all your life on one thing and get really good at it and obtain high prestige, or you're just average in everything else, you know? And
Right.
there's good parts about both, more so than others. I think a balanced life is balanced for a reason, you know? I think it has the most positives, and there's also some pretty good positives about it obtaining high prestige. It really, it's really hard. It's a hard debate.
Mm.
I know for sure that I'm just some lunatic, and I'm the obsessive type. I'm still trying to work on
Mm.
it, and trying to find better balance, but I'm pretty bad at that.
Right. Um. Yeah, I was gonna say. I do feel like extremists obsessors are necessary. Um. Because if there wasn't obsessive, we wouldn't have planes. We wouldn't have iPhones.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We wouldn't have like all these different types of social media and all this advanced things and new like medical equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were needed for they were needed they were needed because humans needed to adapt to the world.
Uh huh.
So those obsessors came in and they figured something out, and they found a solution to the problems.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, I feel like if you get to live your life in a balanced way, you are blessed, because someone is out there doing the extra work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And me personally, I'm honestly grateful for those people, and one of them is my dad, my mother, um, some teachers out there that aren't like actually wanting to help me. Mr. Aurora is one
Right.
of
Yeah.
them.
That Mr.
Miss,
Aurora was a great teacher.
yeah, an amazing teacher,
Oh yeah.
and he was really dedicated to like actually because like pulling a kid aside and talking to them like that, like talking to them like they care, it requires a lot of energy.
Mhm.
You see like hundreds of kids, thousands of kids every day, and pulling one aside,
Mhm.
it takes a lot of energy.
Right.
And like, and I'm grateful to those kind of. I'm grateful to the obsessives. Um, like one I remember listening. What's his name? David Goggins.
Oh yeah.
That man is a monster. But if he wasn't like people like disagree with his lifestyle, like he's doing too much, like he's not. He needs to like find balance. But if he wasn't doing that, there are people in the slum, like people who are down bad,
Mhm.
that need to hear what he's saying. Like they need that extra push, that extreme push, to get them back out of the pit.
Mhm.
Right? It's not. They're it's bigger than bigger. It's bigger than them.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, for sure.
And like even you being an obsessive in Dota, someone needs to see that. You may not realize it, but someone needs to see that.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, David Goggins said
think,
himself, like, dude,
hmm,
I'm not the person who you think I am. Like,
right,
it's exactly like the Mike Tyson quote you were telling me about yesterday, where I was like,
hmm,
do the things you hate like you love them.
right,
So
exactly.
David Goggins was like, dude, I'm a little bitch inside. I don't want to do all this shit. Like, I don't want to run all these hundreds of miles. I don't want to wake up in the morning. I love eating. I love eating junk food. I love getting like fat and shit. You know.
Exactly.
But like, there's another voice in his head. You know. This is not word for word, but this is roughly what he says. Like, there's another voice in my head saying, "Wake the fuck up, motherfucker!" Like, and so that's literally what it is. Um,
Hmm,
like he was like, I'm Dave Goggins continued, and he was saying how he's incredibly shy. Like he doesn't like to be like this outspoken guy that he doesn't give a fuck and shares his ideas and is hard as hell. Like he's the softest.
hmm,
He said himself, I'm like soft as hell. You know, I'm not this hard guy that'll do the most out of everyone. There's just this voice in my head that tells me you gotta do it.
hmm. Yeah. Where did you
This
see
is
this?
some Joe Rogan podcast.
Joe
Yeah.
Rogan podcast. Okay, I'm gonna look
Yeah,
that
no,
up.
David Goggins has some really
Yeah.
good Rogan podcasts, you
Hmm.
know. But yeah, Goggins like he's known to be this guy that'll like, stay hard.
Hmm.
But he says it because he knows he's not this hard person. He has to constantly remind
Right.
himself.
Right. It's survival,
Yeah.
man.
You,
It's
you
how
gotta do
survive.
things you hate like you love them. I think that is something
Right.
that I was trying to adopt. I think it's gonna be very difficult, but
Hmm. Yeah, it's very difficult. It's like an S level mission. Um, and that like him saying that, or like it takes a lot of courage. And I remember I was playing or watching a Zelda video, and there was a line that said a sword. Well, it's not verbatim, but it said or something like a sword wields no power unless the holder has courage.
mm,
And that really really resonated with me. It's because like you were saying the other day how we are like just like a stream of consciousness and we're just vessels.
mm-hmm.
If you're not conscious enough and like you put your will into things, your body's not gonna move and you're just gonna be
Right,
stuck. Alright. And like you have to like practicing courage,
right.
um, very beneficial. Very beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize it was a virtue until like 2 years ago. I thought it was just like some like corny saying like you gotta have courage. But it's like an actual like it stems from like ancient times.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the root word of it, core, means heart. And like there's a lot of sayings that like there's a lot of ancient sayings that have to do with the word heart. Like put your heart into it, put your soul into
Mm-hmm.
it. Like it's not like it doesn't come from like those old like kids books. These are actually teachings of like very wise men
Right.
from a long, long time
Right.
ago.
Right.
Um, to go on to the next topic, the definition of fear. I feel like this is a perfect time to switch.
Yeah. No, not now that
David
we. Oh
Goggins.
yeah, I mean Goggins and like
Mm.
conquering those fears. Um,
Yeah,
so like we definitely covered freedoms. Maybe we might relate back to it, but
yeah.
fears are something that uh, we start off having like we're scared of monsters or something or whatever
Mm.
as we develop those fears aren't so abstract anymore. We're more afraid of concrete
Mm.
things. So I'm
Mm.
interested to hear what are your fears or what's your definition of fear, um, and how you go about dealing with them.
My definition of fear is something that it causes me extreme anxiety, and it puts me in a bad mental state, spiritual state, physical state, all three. Like as a kid, I I feared scary movies because it made me feel like I did not feel right just looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
Like why would I want to like sit there and like this anticipation of something popping out and making me feel that way? It's like why would I want that? And like I was always like afraid of that.
Mm-hmm.
But now, being 21, almost 22, like some of my fears is like, excuse me, some of my fears is like, like dying alone. Um, the typical college student, like not living up to expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, on a deeper level, um, I do fear God in a sense. I do fear a higher power. I feel like something watching me all the time, like analyzing my every movement.
Uh-huh.
It's like I really gotta watch. I really gotta be mindful of myself before you know. There's a lot of things in this world I haven't seen,
Mm-hmm.
and like there may or may not be supernatural things happening in this world, or karma may or may not exist.
Right.
Um, but this is a spiritual world. Like me personally, I gotta be careful of what I do because something can come back to me simply by like being disrespectful um, to a stranger on the street or like um, a stranger on the street. It may come back to me like a year, 10 years from now.
Uh-huh.
Like I don't know. You never
Right.
know. Um, I do fear. Um, I fear myself sometimes. I get scared of myself.
Oh. Like what do you mean
But
by that?
that's only in like certain situations.
Like
Like if I'm
you're
hearing,
afraid of your actions or your thoughts? Like elaborate on that.
uh, I'm both because let's say I'm just talking like to a person. I mean, let's say um I'll give an example. I remember one time my professor was helping me out on this project, and they were like sitting right next to me, and like it, some of my thoughts were getting really dark. I'm like, what if I just like pushed him away? What if I just like punched him?
Mm-hmm.
And like, wait, what am I thinking of
Uh-huh.
right now? Like, why is my mind going there? And like this aggression, like I can feel like this urge to like do something like aggressive and like say something aggressive. I'm like, whoa, relax. Like it's not that deep. Just calm down.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it's like, um, I remember like, um, this classmate was like explaining to me like their problems, and I was like, like in my head, I was like, I don't care. I don't really. Why do I care about this? But like parts, I wanted to care about it,
Mm-hmm.
but like I wasn't letting myself care. I wasn't letting myself like have love for like people and myself, and like that like put me in the wrong. It put me in an aggressive state of mode,
Mm-hmm.
like it's an aggressive mindset because I had no love for myself and people around me.
Mm-hmm.
and like that scares me because there's no way I can survive if I don't fix that soon.
Right.
Like like I die because I'm not loving myself, but like people can like be go like they just go on autopilot, and it's just like you're mentally just dead. You don't want to do anything
Yeah.
anymore, and you're just like you're like a zombie now. It's like walking around,
Oh.
and that scares me. Like me letting my worst self get the best of me, instead of actually acting on my better what's the word my better attributes.
Mm.
Because I'm not to sound conceited, but I am a lot more. I said this like last podcast, but I'm a lot more than like my flaws. I have a lot of strengths.
Oh.
Um, and like me recognizing both will like help me in every aspect. I honestly believe that.
Oh.
Um, I definitely have some other things I want to say, but I'm gonna let you give your definition and examples.
Oh. I mean, you had some good points.
Mm.
Um, I think like covering the people our age, having very similar fears of like not meeting
Right.
expectations, fear of the future, unsure
Mm.
of what you're going to be doing in order to
Right.
like in terms of because like I know what I'll be doing. What I'll be doing tomorrow is I'm going to be eating, like I'll be eating, I'll be sleeping, but
Right.
what that really means is like your occupation. I think occupation has put a lot of anxiety within our generations. Um,
Mm.
and I'm not gonna say it was. Well, no, I will say it was really easy to get a job and find a
Mm.
living. Several years ago, maybe like 50 plus years ago, it was way easier to obtain a job. Now things have gotten
Oh yeah.
complicated. Uh, you know,
Mm.
but I think there's a progression of fears. Similar to how you mentioned as a child. I'm scared of I'm scared of the dark. I was terrified of Chucky. Um, you know,
I hated. I hated
these like
Chucky.
things that are these things that scare us as children are not even on our radars anymore. I'm not even scared of monsters. I could like look at the scariest picture. I like looking at horror stuff. I like watching horror movies, but
Mm.
I'm not. It's not like I'm scared of them or I have fears. I think it's auditory cues um, that are engineered to spook humans and or alert humans. You watch a scary movie, and scary movies are they follow like fundamentals and they follow like specific things that
Mm.
are supposed to. It's basically engineered to make humans extremely alert and.
Mm.
But our fears now, I think at a certain point, it depends how fast you mature. But fears definitely are something that are not so concrete anymore. You're not scared of Chucky per se. You're not scared of a certain type of monster. You're not scared of the dark. You're scared of things that don't actually exist. Like notice how our fears don't really exist like immediately. A lot of times they
Yeah.
only exist in our heads as thoughts. So, why are you scared of, or why are you scared of the future, right? And I think a common answer would be like because I'm unsure. I don't know the answers to it. Uh, right now, I don't feel like I'm going anywhere. So you're not really scared of something that's happening right now, but rather you're scared of the idea of something that could happen in the future. Um,
Mm.
You're scared of not making money. You're terrified of the idea that you're not gonna be successful. That you're not gonna. But none of that has happened yet. you know.
Mm.
Um, I think maybe the biggest fear I have is to die without having achieved anything. I think that's
Mm.
probably my biggest fear. If I'm going to be honest, like, I think next would be not being financially stable.
Yeah, that is a big one for me
Yeah.
too.
And I think I don't know, but I don't know if this is true, but I think for men specifically, this is more so. Like being financially stable is way more important for men. I
Yeah.
think there's this saying that men aren't loved until they make money, and I
So
heard
what?
that quote, and I was like, damn, that actually I actually feel that.
What was the quote? That's
Oh,
my bad. I didn't hear it.
men aren't loved until they make money.
Oh damn.
So that's definitely not true. But
Damn.
like quotes like that enable one to think of ideas beyond the initial quote itself is like it already shows it's how powerful it is. So I know that's not true
Mm.
because I think I have people around me that care enough about me, even though I'm not making a lot of money, you know. But
Yeah.
because we can both objectively agree that there is somewhat truth behind it, like
Right.
there's some truth behind it. So
Mm. Yeah, most definitely.
um,
Like,
yeah, it's starting to
it's
change a
been like
little
that.
bit. I think women are definitely getting. It happened when World War, after the World Wars, when men came
Mm.
back, because before the World Wars, there's big cultural shifts, and there will continue to be cultural shifts for the rest of humanity. Like it's not gonna stop here. It might go in
Mm.
maybe like 300 years in the future. Women are we have a matriarchy, you know, and then 600 years in
Mm.
the future we're back to a hard patriarchy. Like there will be cultural shifts, and
Right.
to go back a little bit, at post World War, when men were coming back, here's what happened: the men either died, so there's less men in the workforce, and the men that did come back were already replaced by capable women. So like
Mm.
when men left for war, women took all the jobs that men previously had. So they just did what they were able and capable to do all the jobs that we did, and they were getting paid for it. So when the men come back and want their jobs back, the women were like, no, 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 that's not how it works. No, 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 I can do this. I can do
Yeah.
this better than you. And then the men are like, oh shit. And so like there was an attempt to reestablish, a male-dominated workforce, and so that's how our because like before, women stayed home. In American societies. Sorry, let me elaborate. Let me be specific. In American societies, uh, the woman stayed home and the man was the sole income of the family. Men were making
Right.
way more. As time went on, men's salaries decreased because women also entered the workforce. So things are being split, and
Right.
households obtain two incomes instead of just one from the male figure.
Mm.
And then I know there was like a couple years ago, there was like this big movement about women with equal pay. Um, there still are some issues about now, but a majority of it has been somewhat debunked. But like I said, still some issues. And now that I think about it, I don't know how I got to this point. We were talking about fears. I have no clue how I got to this point, but that was a super.
You were talking about fears of financial
Oh, okay,
stability, and then
right. Financial
yeah.
stability. And so,
But you said something that was pretty interesting.
yeah.
Um, you said you are afraid of dying without achieving
Yeah, oh
anything.
yeah, for sure. That's
So
number one.
my
Number one.
my question is, what is an achievement to you? Like, what do you consider
That
an
is a good
achievement?
question. That is a very good question.
Mm.
So I find myself obsessed with this idea of leaving my mark, like wanting to be remembered and being bigger than, being a part of something bigger than than myself, right? And I know I want
Mm.
that. And what I'm kind of confused myself is I don't know exactly what I want. When I try and think about it, I'm like, maybe I want to become a well-renowned Dota 2 professional player and have a lot of prestige
Mm.
and be remembered within the community. But now, when I think about it, it's like, do I want that? Do I want that prestige specifically in Dota, or do I just want the prestige? Like, if I could be
Mm.
a famous writer or a famous painter, would I be able to? Would that also satiate that goal? Give me one moment. Actually, I'm getting a phone call. Sorry.
No problem.
Hello.
Again,
Yeah, Tai.
do you think we can order in Amazon or the three camera for Florida?
Yeah, I can order them.
charge to Bank of America?
What do you want me to choose? City or Bank of America?
You don't have a card of City. I have your
Okay,
City
then
card.
I'll do Bank of America then. I'll order the cameras.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Bye bye. Okay, hello? I'm
Yeah.
back.
Alright.
So yeah. Yeah, I'm a bit
Um,
confused
I-
myself with what exactly I want, but
Mm.
so that's my question right now, which I'm still trying to figure out whether or not it's a specific prestige or a specific thing I want, or it's just the prestige I want.
Mm.
I don't know myself, if I'm gonna be honest.
Mm. I asked that because like we're going back to like the standards. Like I remember it was I think it was like high school graduation.
Oh.
Oh, that's I'll just use a different example. Like I'm scrolling to Instagram and I like see like these college graduations and like seeing how like people are like so crying. Um, and I understand why, but I don't really understand why they're crying. But like thinking about it, it's like for some that is like the first person in the family to like graduate from college, and like that is like a high achievement. Um,
Oh.
and like considering like you just graduated, so I was like, like what does he consider achievement? Because for some like that college is achievement, high school, making like a certain amount of money, like at least 100,000 in the bank account is like an achievement.
Mhm.
So like I was just curious.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Mm.
Yeah, it definitely
But
sounds
yeah,
like no, that is a good thing to bring up. Like,
mhm.
and I think that ties in with like, or that definitely helps explain or allude to my obsessiveness. It's like
Mm.
why do I have to care so much about like this or leaving my mic or prestige? So
Right.
it reminds me of when I was talking with my brother, and we were just talking, just random things, and he was just like, I was like, we were both sharing our goals, like some jokingly we're like, yeah, I'm trying to have bread, I'm trying to fly around the world, have like mansion and shit, where it's like you're all just trying to flex. But then we kind of
Right,
had like
right.
this realistic conversation. It's like, what do we really want? And he told me, he was like, dude, I just want a simple life. He's like, I want that cliche of like a white picket fence, nothing too crazy, in the suburbs, just a quiet life. And I was like, whoa, that's
Mhm.
that's so different than like what I think about what I want. It's so different. And that
Mhm.
was like the first time it really put things into perspective. Where like, that's when I realized like I'm obsessive. Like I
Mm.
have these grandiose ideas that I have in my head, and it's like, damn, like I'm actually, I will always say cursed. I like saying cursed because it makes me feel really cool. It's like, oh, I'm cursed. Maybe I'm just being like
You got like you got cursed energy.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being lame, but like
Hmm.
I think this obsession is like something that is, I see it as a curse. Like it it I'm robbed of a lot of other things in my life because I'm so obsessed.
Hmm.
I lost my I can definitely argue I lost my youth being obsessed with Dota.
Hmm.
Like I lost a good portion of
You
my
think?
oh yeah, for sure.
You
I
think
missed
so?
out on a lot of experiences.
Hmm.
I missed out on a lot of opportunities to connect with people. Um yeah, that's why I think it's I've don't get me wrong. I see it. I see positives on both sides. I I can guarantee you I have had amazing experiences within the game of Dota that the people around me at the time will never experience in their lifetimes. That's maybe me
Right.
wanting to brag a little bit, but some experiences I have in Dota will be unattainable for those who have never experienced the game. But
Hmm.
going back, I have missed experiences within my youth that I can never get again, which those people have experienced.
Right.
So there's two sides of a coin, So
Yeah, I really that is. I haven't heard many people say what your brother say. I just want the simple life.
Mm-hmm.
And just a nice home. And like, does he want a family?
Yeah, I mean, he moved out
Mm.
with his girlfriend, and he actually just got a
Mm.
dog as well, like a Shiba Inu.
Wow. Wow.
So
Congratulations.
yeah, yeah.
Dang. That's very nice. It's like that's all he needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, it surprised me, you know, because like there was we were raised in the same household, you know, so we share similar ideas, or we should share similar
Right.
ideologies and ideas, you know, because like if I were to have someone compare like our wants, right? Like the people closest to you during your development would have the closest or very similar wants to what you want because you were raised the
Mm.
same. You had like pretty fucking close experiences like growing up. So where are the changes? Or
Mm.
what are the differences that have our different interpretations about how to live our lives? Like at what point did we experience those?
Hmm. Are you asking me, or is that
It was kind of like a
rhetorical?
rhetorical question.
A rhetorical
Yeah.
question? Yeah, yeah. I definitely I see what you're saying because I have four older brothers, um, and like each one of us are like not crazily different,
Uh-huh.
but that's crazily is not a word, but we're not really that different. We're not like extreme. There's not many
Yeah.
extreme differences, but it's like one brother like they love like or not love they like want like a nice lifestyle, like travel anywhere, nice home, like
Uh-huh.
super fancy house and the nice clothes.
Mhm.
Another one just they like really like love the religion and the scholarly side of
Right.
things. Um and like they do the engineering
Right.
and all that stuff. And then yeah, I like to travel, love to travel and have nice things, but
Uh-huh.
um for some reason I have like this weird infatuation with like rough clothes and
Uh-huh.
like um what I mean by that is like if I see if like I'll let's say I'll use an example like this use like the pharaoh time
Uh-huh.
like my brothers will love like the pharaoh outfit like the nice
Uh-huh.
upper class first class um new merch but like I was always attracted to like those like the what the shepherds would wear.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Scarf.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
the scarf
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like the ruggedy clothes. Like that always like catches my eye. Like I really like that like fits my personality for some reason.
Oh.
And my brother's like like I said like the nicer things.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And I
May
don't
give
know
it
why.
give it a couple hundred years. Maybe that shit that will come
Yeah,
back into
yeah.
style. Like style changes
Hmm.
so often. It's crazy. What's hot right
Hmm.
now is like well like style comes and goes. Shit that
Hmm.
looks lame as fuck like 5 years ago will come back in like 300 years or some shit.
Hmm.
I remember watching a
And I did a go ahead.
documentary about that where like
Hmm.
styles are like culture and they shift rapidly and it comes and goes and they reoccur. They reoccur throughout history.
Hmm. And crazy thing is that like the scarves, that's where like the design for the hoodies came from.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's like I always love hoodies. Like it's a weird thing.
Yeah. Hoodies are pretty comfortable too. Like they're so easy.
Yeah.
I used to only like zip up jackets, but then like
oh yeah.
I don't know what happened, and then I was like, yeah, jackets that you just put sling over, where you don't have to zip them up, are
Mhm.
better. And then sometimes I like zipper jackets again. But yeah, yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about
Yeah.
that. Zipper
But
jackets.
like I stopped wearing them because it's like um it gets really cold fast
Uh-huh.
because the section in the middle can open up
Right.
and like takes away the warmth from your body.
Yeah.
But back to the topic. Another thing that I get scared of or fear is like my curiosity.
Uh-huh.
Um, like I remember doing the figure drawing class, and there were nude models,
Mm-hmm.
and I was really like curious, when like a woman would walk in, I was really curious. Okay,
Uh-huh.
what has she got? And then that's like, like that's a normal a man thing to do, like to fantasize about those
Uh-huh.
things, but like that, it does scare me because it's like, how can I have a conversation with a woman if I can't like see her for like a human being instead of thinking about lustful things or fantasizing?
Uh-huh.
And then like,
You want to know how? I actually have a secret. You want to know how?
what is
You
it?
stop.
How
You
does
stop
that?
masturbating.
I'm
I'm not
telling you,
even
man.
joking. I'm not even joking. Like,
I'm telling you, bro. That
it's hard.
damages the
It's
soul.
very difficult.
It's very difficult.
Like, believe me.
It's very
No.
difficult.
So, people have done studies. Like, chronic masturbation is equivalent to like hard drugs. Like the amount of dopamine you get in your brain is very close, very similar.
Very, very close.
But yeah,
If not,
continue.
if not worse, similar. I mean that's about it. Like definitely like, I guess like a fear, like not knowing what to like draw or like not knowing what to put on the paper
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not very good at many things. Like I'm being 110% honest. I am not the smartest. I am not um the most logical person. I'm pretty emotional. Uh, and like drawing is really like my number one skill.
Mm-hmm.
And like, and I'm like, so sometimes I can get so cocky about it. Like internally I get cocky, and it's like, and then like I feel like I'm like this prodigy. Oh, I can do whatever. And then like one day comes and I have no idea like what to do, like the next like creative outlet or whatever.
Oh.
And then that scares me because if I can't draw anything, then what am I supposed to do? Like how am I supposed to make a living off this? How am I supposed to like, be the best that I can be if I can't draw? Because that's like the one thing
Uh-huh.
that I feel like I'm good at.
Yeah.
And like I always like I put like a stack of paper in front of me just to like force myself. Okay, you're going to have to fill these pages, so you're gonna have to force yourself to come up with some kind of idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's definitely a double-edged sword because I'm putting like this pressure on myself that I have to fill every single page.
Yeah.
Even though it may like increase my skill, I may like come with an idea faster.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely one day it might cause me gray hairs or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I was
Like real shit.
I always wanted like gray hairs like when I was younger.
I think they're
Yeah,
cool. I don't
I
know
know.
why. I feel like this old wise sage, like I get like
Yeah.
sage one or something.
I mean, I was hoping I would be one of Asians that just get gray hair early because I think it looks really cool.
Mm.
You know how like some Asians they just get gray hair. I don't know
Yeah.
why. Maybe something.
There was this one kid in middle school that had gray hair early.
Oh,
I forgot his name.
I don't know.
He was he's
Native American.
or
That's what it
Asian.
is. Gray hair. Yeah.
Mm.
It looks really cool.
Very cool, especially on a beard.
A beard. I can't grow a beard, man.
I have a little goatee, but it's
Oh.
like stubble.
I can grow some facial hair, but then it just stops growing at a certain point. Like
Mm.
I can't get it connect through my jawline. So I can grow like
Mm.
a mustache, a goatee, and then long ass sideburns. But there's like the space in between that I can't really grow anything.
Mm. Man, I wish I can get some long sideburns.
No, dude, I have to shave my sideburns every day, because they grow so fast. Like, my hair in general grows fast. Like, really fucking. I can get a haircut, and then like 1 week later, it'll already grow a lot.
Mm.
But I just
Mm.
can't connect that facial hair on my jawline.
Mm. I just feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm more of a man, like with a facial hair.
Yeah,
I feel like a baby, like just looking at myself in the mirror, like you're a little kid,
yeah.
bro.
Definitely makes you look younger.
Mm. And I guess that's another fear of mine, not looking the part, not looking like a good artist, not looking like a man.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure.
People, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one actually. I definitely have the
Mm.
same. I definitely experienced the same thing.
Right.
I feel like now that I've graduated college and shit, and I should be more responsible, and I keep thinking
Mm.
like, dude, I'm a grown ass man. I'm like 21 years
Yeah.
old. I'm a man. I'm not, because
Yeah.
a couple years ago I used to call myself a kid all the time. You know, I'm this kid
Mm.
that doesn't give a fuck. I'm just chilling. I'm doing my own thing, and then I realized like, holy fuck, I'm a grown ass
Right.
man. I am a grown man.
Responsibilities, all that stuff.
And then I'm like, god damn.
These numbers get to our heads, bro.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, that wraps up Perspectives podcast, definition of freedom and fears. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know that we've been somewhat inactive recently, but we're hoping to be able to get on our shit and get back on a schedule. Well, you'll be seeing more of us pretty soon. Right now, we haven't decided on our next topic, but we'll inform you guys of our next topic at the start of the video. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. Feel free to share your own thoughts in the comments or however you want to do so. But yeah, if you made it this far, I actually appreciate it.
Really appreciate it.